I caught my wife with AP in our bed and I kicked him out of my house. Me, 44 million, and my SDBX, F39, been married for 11 years, no kids. We were a pretty chubby couple until 2 years ago when I had a blood test, and it came out that I was prone to contracting diabetes, gout, and hypertension. It really scared me, and we both bit by bit started to have a very healthy life. I went from 117 to 85 kg, and my wife, let's call her Jane, from 83 to 65 kg. We felt great, and needless to say, I never developed those diseases. We attended to a gym almost daily in the afternoon where AP worked as a coach. Let's call him Baldy. When my wife started getting in shape, I noticed most guys turned to see her. I felt so proud of her. She is fairly busty and she has magnificent legs. Of course, Baldy wasn't the exception. I notice Baldy likes to check women's butt. I've seen him doing it several times, and he likes to show off how ripped he is. When Jane and I were regulars at the gym, I noticed she was enjoying the attention she got from men. Once we were using the elliptical machines. In front of them there is a cable machine. Baldy took off his t-shirt and started doing crossovers. I turned to Jane with my face of, "Can you believe this guy?" But she was staring at him and she wet her lips. I saw Baldy and I swear he was grinning. I felt crushed. I mean, I was getting in shape, but I am not as muscular and fit as he is. When we were driving home, I made a comment about Baldy showing off and Jane said, "Really?" I didn't notice. I told her, "You were staring." She said, "I don't remember." I must have been thinking about something else. I shrugged it and kept driving, but from there on I noticed they were talking more frequently at the gym. Some weeks later, Jane was doing squats using the Smith machine. Suddenly Baldy went to help her. "Isn't he nice?" He was grabbing her by the waist and I got angry. She finished the first set and I got there and told him in a not nice way, "I got it from here." Baldy just similed and told me, "No prob, buddy." He calls everybody buddy and walked off. Jane knows me very well, and when she heard my angry tone, she said, "My God, op." I told her we'll discuss this at home. At home, drama blowed up. She called me immature and jealous. I told her I noticed he was trying to get into her pants. She said that she knows that, but she would never cheat on me. I said then why she let him touch her, and she said she didn't want to be rude. About an hour later, arguing, we agreed to change gym. So we went to another place to do exercise, but Jane was resentful at me in the following months. Her argument was that I don't trust her. On the third month after we changed gym, a very good opportunity opened up in my job, but in the afternoon. We discussed it and I took it, and we had to attend the gym at different hours. I went in the morning and Jane in the afternoon. This is when it all went south. Jane's resentment increased and we barely speak. I send her messages telling her about my day, that I miss her memes. But she rarely replied or just, "Yes, okay, same here, hahaha." I was very worried and proposed couple therapy. She said I was the one who needs therapy because I'm the one with trust issues. I agreed. I was so desperate to fix our marriage that I even thought it was all my fault. So the following year, 2022, I went to therapy, but Jane's behavior didn't change. We weren't intimate anymore. She never was in the mood. I snooped to her phone but didn't find anything out of the ordinary. I looked into her car for a second phone. Nothing. I checked her phone again to see her map history. It only showed me housework, house, gym, house. Whenever I tried to talk to her, she just said she feels that she's having a 40s phase. It'll pass. I never had any evidence of cheating, so I continued working and warring. We live in a condo. The security guard, a very cheerful man called Mr. P, greeted me. We chat a lot. He was touching his shoulder and told me yesterday he had to move a heavy sofa and he has some pain today. I was sympathetic and he dropped the bomb. "Maybe you can arrange a meeting with your massagist." I told him. "Who?" He said, "The guy who came yesterday to massage Mrs. Jane." It took me a second to process this. I told him, "Do you have a video of him?" I think he noticed I was pale and hurried to show me. Guess who? Baldy, of course. He has come a few times to massage my wife. I took the day off and started investigating. I asked a coworker for his car, and in the afternoon I followed Jane. She parked her car at the mall where the gym is, and there is Baldy waiting for her. They giggle and behave like a couple. Kisses, hugs, and I feel nearly to tear. They walk a couple of blocks and go into a residential area. I tried to follow them with my phone ready to record, but the guard stopped me and asked, "Can I help you?" I just said, "What a nice couple, do you know them?" He said he thinks they are newlyweds, but can't tell me anything else. I called Jane but never answered. I went to her car in the mall and wondered why that place doesn't show on the map. I dial again and I can hear her phone inside her car. That's why. I also found out Jane hasn't attended the gym in 8 months. I didn't know that the previous night was the last day I slept with Jane in the same bed. I returned the car and went home and called my parents. Fortunately, my dad answered and I told him everything. I was crying and he comforted me and told me to get evidence. Obviously, my marriage is over and I need all I can gather while he'll contact one of his friends who is an excellent divorce lawyer. Jane called me when saw the 2 missing calls. I just told her I was already at home and she told me I'm on my way from the gym. My butt is killing me. Yeah, I can guess. When she saw me, she asked, "What happened? Why did you cry?" I don't know how, but I was mentally focused. I smiled and told her I got the flu, that's why I left work early. "Don't come near me, it might be the bug, I'll be tested tomorrow. I'll sleep in the spare room." She agreed. I cried silently and didn't sleep a wink. Nearly midnight, I heard her giggling. I guess she's messaging Baldy, but I didn't find any evidence of contacting another man. Then it hit me, why didn't I see it earlier? I bet AP is disguised as one of her female coworkers. In the morning, while Jane was in the shower, I took her phone and created a session in my laptop and put her phone back in the same place. We both can unlock our phones. The session works while the phone is close to my laptop or in the same Wi-Fi account. Then I saw it. Under a female name, the profile picture was a dumbbell. I entered and most of the conversations were deleted. I guess they use work words as code in case I snooped. "Can you deliver the papers in my desk?" I know she doesn't have a desk at work. "Going to the meeting, where are you?" On the top of them, "Boss is in his office." He's clueless, pretty clever. I guess I am boss because I know her boss is a woman. Jane got out of the shower and saw me. "You look worse. Why don't stay with your parents?" I denied the idea, thinking of getting evidence. After Jane went out, I contacted my dad and gave me the name and number of the lawyer. I called him and explained everything. He told me the captions I took from my laptop are useless. They don't have any factual evidence since is not AP's name, and she was smart enough to leave pieces of conversation that looks pretty innocent. I can take pictures of them at the mall, but she can argue they are just good fellas. And I can't invade into the residential area without permission, because it might get me into more trouble. At work, I was in zombie mode, thinking how to get evidence. I might install secret cameras in my house, but Baldy rarely goes to my home and Jane might find them. Unless I'm out of the picture. I texted Jane and told her I'm positive of the bug and I'll stay at my parents' because I might need help. She liked the idea and told me she would miss me, but she'll call me every day. When I hung up, I called my dad and my brother. When I got home, she had already packed a suitcase for me. She was so eager of getting rid of me. I told her I'll take my laptop and then I checked her messages. "Boss will be out of the office, wanna come to my desk?" She sent this message almost after I told her I was positive to the bug. Good, she bit. We didn't had dinner, no kisses, no hugs. I noticed her watching her watch twice. From the door, I told her I'll miss you. I was expecting her to shut the door on my face, but she walked me to my car, and I was gone. My dad and brother were outside the building waiting for Baldy to appear, but he didn't showed up. After half an hour, I thought, why did she walk me to my car? Of course, because Baldy was already inside the building waiting, perhaps inside her car. It would be very suspicious if her massagist came at this hour. I came back, hurried to my house, and entered silently. I heard music coming from the bedroom and the moaning. Next to the door there is a sofa, his and her clothes were on it. I put my phone to record and opened the bedroom door, and there she was, my wife, the love of my life for 11 years in all four, and Baldy behind her. I got a very good seconds of both of their faces when they saw me open the door. Jane screamed and covered herself with the blanket. Baldy went alpha male, immediately walking naked towards me. I took a shot of him doing raw my wife. He yelled aggressively at me, "Why don't go for a walk, buddy?" I hit his throat with my hand opened. I saw this movement in the Mel Gibson movie, Ransom. The next second, Baldy was coughing and gasping, kneeling on the floor. I yelled, "Get out of my house," and kicked him out. I threw his clothes at him when my dad, brother, and Mr. P were arriving to my house. I told them, "I'll take it from here," and closed the door. Jane was still on the bed covering herself. She was trembling. I told her, "I have never hurt you, nor will I get dressed. I'll wait for you in the living room." While I was waiting, I sent the video to my lawyer, and he answered, "I'm sorry for you, but jackpot." A few minutes later, Jane showed up. She couldn't see me in the eyes. I started recording the conversation. I asked why. She didn't answer. "Was I such an awful husband to you?" She started crying but didn't answer. "Do you love him?" She shook her head but no words. I stood up and hit the table. "Say something, Jane." "Damn it." She opened her eyes wide and started trembling again like a puppy when is scared. I have never yelled at her before. I sat and talked calmly. "My lawyer will contact you for the divorce. Get a lawyer," she finally spoke. "We can fix this." "Fix what? Our marriage was over since Baldy was on the picture and you choose him over me. It was a mistake." "No, it wasn't. It was a choice you chose, and this is the consequence." "What did you think would happen when I find out?" Silence again. "Go to your sisters and tell her the truth, or I will show her the video." She went to the bedroom and started packing. I followed her and watched. Since 2 days ago, I was trying to convince myself my wife is long gone. The person who I shared my house with is not my wife. But seeing her, putting her clothes inside the suitcase neatly, with her gracious movements, and those little things I love of her hit me hard. I went to the spare room and started ugly crying. I heard when she closed the main door. She picked her clothes that were on the sofa. She made the bed where I caught them, and I dropped on the floor. So much later, I called my dad. He told me Baldy wanted to press charges, but Mr. P told him he didn't sign in, so he's trespassing. The condo can sue him. He dropped it and went out. My nosy brother pressed his ear on the door, and my dad took him from the other ear to his car. I was exhausted. The previous days I didn't sleep well, so I almost passed out on the spare room. Next morning, my phone had a lot of Jane's messages apologizing and asking for a second chance. I just blocked her. My SIL called me. Apparently Jane hasn't told her what happened, just that we're fighting. I guess it's good my FIL is not alive to see Jane's behavior. She was the youngest and his favorite. Mill has senile dementia. All this happened a week ago. Next week Jane is going to be served. First, I want to thank everybody who contacted me and gave me advice, congratulate me, or just to let me know they care. I've read from other posts that the support you get is mind-blowing, but it's the first time I experience so much care from strangers. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Second, as you can guess, English is my second language, so I messed up in some sentences and confused prepositions. Sorry about that. Also, I wrongly said Jane was doing sit-ups. She was doing squats. Third, to those who think my story is fake, you are entitled to think whatever you want. I just hope my testimony helps someone in the future as much as others have helped me. Fourth, about how I hit AP. It was not a fancy ninja punch, just a chop in the throat that, frankly, it was lucky I reacted before Baldy did. I won't lie, seeing him on the floor coughing felt great. Fifth, some of the readers found a post I made in Ask Reddit a month before D-Day. It never got it posted because I didn't understand the rules of the community, and today it isn't important anymore. A quick summarize. Jane and I were trying to be parents or 10 years. On the 8th year, we saved enough money to buy 3 opportunities in the most expensive and successful reproduction clinic here in my country. All 3 failed. Jane started her affair during the 3rd one. That's the clinic where my blood was tested, and adding the history of diseases from my family, they gave me the probabilities of developing diabetes, gout, hypertension, and having strokes. I should thank them. Someone mentioned that Jane intentionally aborted in the 3rd shot because it might be a peace baby. Well, that's not possible. Because for her it's almost impossible to conceive naturally. The embryos were fecunded in vitro and then implanted directly in her womb. I tried to repost my question, but she came and told me I don't want to have kids anymore, so I dropped it. I am sure Baldy doesn't have anything to do with her decision. This is important for later. It's been 12 days since D-Day. What have I been doing from there? D-Day 1 Fry. I had a nice chat with Mr. P. He confessed he faked his shoulder pain. He just wanted to warn me about Baldy. Also, he told me a very nosy neighbor saw when I kicked Baldy naked from my apartment. Surely in a week all condo will know my situation. My brother came to help me change the lock of the door. When he left, I felt so alone and cried a lot. I called my job to ask for a day off. At night, I spoke to my lawyer. He said he's making the divorce papers. He couldn't start until he had the evidence. So my divorce will be divorce by mutual consent. That's smoother than uncaused divorce. That's longer and pretty nasty. Also, he told me not to share the video. Jane will be served in 2 weeks. SIL called me, but I told her to ask Jane why we're divorcing. D-Day 2 sat. SIL came and I showed her the video. I drove her home and saw Jane's car. When I got home, I still felt crushed and cried some more. D-Day 3 son. I visited my parents. My mom cried with me. She really loved Jane. My dad had a chat with me about my money, properties, and stuff. When I returned home, Mr. Pai told me Jane and Baldy showed up. I guess they are going to make public their relationship now that the cat is out of the bag. But strangely, they came at different times. Jane came in the morning. She parked her car and saw mine wasn't there. Tried to enter my house, but her key doesn't work anymore. Then she asked Mr. P if he knew where I went. He didn't know and told her. Mr. Op gave me this for you, my attorney's card. She kept it and left. Baldy came in the afternoon and first asked to see Jane. Mr. P told him Mrs. Jane, emphasis on Mrs., doesn't live here anymore, then asked to see me, and Mr. P told him Mr. Op is away. No idea when he'll return, and he left. I guess they both are not in contact yet. I wanted to ask about Jane. Is she sad? Did she look healthy? Did she ask about my well-being? But then I remembered D-Day and just thanked and say goodnight to Mr. P. When I got home, I cried a lot again. D-Day moan. I didn't want to, but something I learnt from all you champions is to hit hard the gym, so I looked for a new gym near my job and had a good session. I felt pretty good. Then I returned to work. At home, I didn't cry this time and start taking out all Jane's pictures. D-Day 2. Had a meeting with my lawyer to review my assets. Fortunately, my dad made Jane sign a prenup, so she can't touch anything I had before we got married, my house mainly. All remaining stuff gets divided 50-50, and I can get a compensation for her adultery. As compensation, I'm gonna take out alimony. I can fight for all the stuff, but everything reminds me of her, and I want to start anew. When I left home, I heard whispers. I turned my head and saw 2 neighbors that immediately pretended they didn't see me. They walked in front of me and jeeted me. I knew this would happen. Aider that I went to the gym and work. This repeats all week, so I'm gonna it. D-Day wed, nothing interesting. I only have FB as social media. I ignore all DM asking me to contact Jane. I closed it and opened Reddit and had a nice time reading about all you champions that overcome what I have been experiencing. I felt better, so I thought of sharing my own experience. D-Day 3, I started writing. I posted it before going to the gym. When I was at work, it amazed me how many people were reacting to my story. I answered some comments. D-Day Fry, I was reading comments and answering all morning. I was smiling, feels good to be appreciated. Two comments stuck in my mind that I didn't think about. 1. Report AP to my old gym, and 2. My home is tainted, I need a fresh start. So before I went to the gym, I looked for real estate agents to sell or rent my house. I'm not comfortable here anymore. I haven't entered to my bedroom since D-Day. I've been sleeping in the spare room. I don't want to live like this. D-Day sat. Since Jane would come and bother me, I decided to spend the day outside. She did come, then she visited my parents and brother. They just texted me Jane came. I answered, thank you, I don't want to talk about her yet. D-Day, son, I spend the day with my parents. We visited a town 2 hours from the city and had a blast. I don't know if Jane came. My dad told me not to sell my house but to rent it. I agree and went home. When I got home, Mr. P told me Baldy came in the afternoon and alone again. He asked for me, but Mr. P told him I'm away. He left without a word. D-Day moan. Yesterday, Monday morning, I went to my old gym. I was not sure if I'd meet Baldy. He worked in the afternoon, but he was screwing my wife in the afternoon, so I thought he's changed his shift. He was nowhere. I asked to talk to Frank, the gym owner. While I was waiting for him, I met an old janitor I used to chat with. He told me to say hi to Miss Jane. I guess my new normal is to tell everybody we split up. I smiled at him. Frank finally received me. I asked about Baldy. He told me Monday is his day off. He asked for more hours, and now he works from Tuesday to Sunday in the morning. Then I explained the reason of my visit. He listened carefully until I finished and finally showed him the video. He stayed silent and thinking. He said, "You're not gonna like this." I just thought, what now? Frank called the receptionist to bring Harry, another coach and Baldy's friend. He has a big beard. Frank asked him to tell me about Baldy's girlfriend. Fasten your seat belts. This is good, according to Harry. Baldy is heads over heels for Jane, and Frank confirmed it. He told me Baldy had many complaints, especially from female members, but for the last months he has changed. No complaints, and he's very professional to all members. And Harry told me something that made my jaw drop. Baldy is trying to marry Jane by baby-trapping her. I was processing this information when I felt something starting from my chest. It climbed up my throat and finally blowed up in my mouth. I laughed. I swear I was Joker madly laughing. I even teared a bit. Frank and Harry were very confused. I thought, oh sweet karma, thank you. After I calmed, but with a big grin on my face. Harry asked what was going on, and Frank explained this is Baldy's girlfriend's husband. Harry made a shocked face. Oh man, this is bad, this is really messed up. Harry left. Next we discussed about firing Baldy. Frank said he has to report the situation to the coach association, not real name, and he surely has to fire him because Jane was a gym member or Frank's gym could have legal repercussions. About his license as coach, I need to make a legal document explaining Baldy is the reason of my divorce, the key number of my divorce case, and the video. My attorney will give the video to the coach association's attorney. I can't share it. Baldy will lose his license from that association, but he can go to another association and apply for another license. It'd take months though. I asked if Baldy can appeal. Frank said he might, but it would be a waste of energy. The association does not tolerate such conduct. Also, he doesn't have the money to pay for somebody who represents him. That reminded me of the residential area where he entered with Jane. I thought Baldy was wealthy. Frank brought his face closer to me. What residential area? I showed on the Maps app. You tailed them to this place. I did. On D-Day -1, Frank got angry. That's where my late father's house is. After Frank's father passed away, he inherited the house. All the equipment that's obsolete or needs repair goes to that house. He lent Baldy the key to go and keep some stuff occasionally, but he does not have permission to stay there. He surely has a copy of the key and he might be living there illegally. He's going to investigate this further. I'll be easy since there are tons of cameras in that place. I was leaving the gym when I heard, Mr. Op, wait. It was Harry. He told me he was sorry about what's happening. Baldy never told him who was his girlfriend. He just said that he met her at XXX Mall. I thanked him and took a step towards the exit. He rushed. Can you tell me what happened? I told him pretty much what you heard. He was screwing my wife and now I'm divorcing her. Another step. What will happen to Baldy? That depends on Frank and the coach association. I tried to take another step, but how are you handling it? Okay. Now this is strange. I stared at Harry and remembered Baldy went to my house twice. I said, you called Baldy and he's on his way here, right? You are just buying time. Am I wrong? He made a guilty face. Please, Mr. Op, talk to him. He's really desperate. He was crying yesterday, his girl. I mean, your wife isn't returning his calls. Tell me, why should I care if he's rotting in hell? I'll be here with you so you don't be scared. I laughed, scared of that weakling. He didn't told you I kicked him out of my house naked, right? Harry didn't believe me. Fine, let's see what he wants. I saw there are cameras where we were talking and sat in front of a table in the reception. I don't think Baldy is stupid enough to attack me, but who knows? Besides, I'm really curious about what he wants. He came running 10 minutes later and saw me waiting for him. He extended his hand. I crossed my arms and left him with the hand hanging. What the hell you want? I looked angrily directly to his eyes. He sat in front of me. Listen, buddy, stop right there. We're not buddies, Mr. S. The janitor is my buddy. You are not. He seemed apologetic. Okay, my bad. I want to say I'm sorry for everything. I never wanted to hurt you and I really care about Jane. Well, you just said 3 lies to my face. You are not sorry. You did mean to destroy my life and you just care about yourself. He changed from apologetic to annoyed. Okay, whatever, man. Just tell me where Jane is. Last time I saw her was when I kicked her cheating ass out of my house after I kicked you out naked. I know Harry was listening. Baldy's face changed color to red. That was a cheap shot. I should sue you. As far as I know, you entered my home illegally and perhaps you were raping my wife. I have videos of you getting out, but you didn't sign in. He changed again. Okay, I'm sorry. Tell me what you want from me. Please tell Jane I need to speak to her. In that moment, Frank came in a rush. I guess he saw through the cameras that Baldy showed up. Everything okay here? Everything is fine, Frank. I was just telling this sissy what I want. I stand up and talk close to Baldy's face. What I want is what is coming for you. What you deserve, what the law has prepared for you. I want to crush your dreams just like you did with mine. You want kids, guess what? You won't and you will never have. Baldy said, what's that supposed to? But Frank asked him to see him in his office. Harry looked impressed. He grabbed Baldy's arm and pulled him. Dude, you're in deep shit. I finally left. TLDR, I caught my wife with our gym coach in our bed, and I know when and how it started. Story 2, I got married on November 30, 2024. Like all couples, we have ups and downs and issues, but nothing made me think I must break up with this guy or wow, I should not marry him. Then came May 14, 2025. Around 5:30 p.m., I was running some errands and got to my final errand at the grocery store. As I'm walking into the grocery store, my husband calls me. I assume he is going to tell me that he is on his way home from a job site and wants to know what we'd like to do for dinner. He calls 3 times in a row, and I tried calling back, but he's not picking up. The next call immediately comes from one of my best friends, and she says your husband is in the hospital and you need to call him right away. I tried calling him again and he picks up but has to give the phone to an EMT. The EMT tells me that he is in the hospital and cannot give me much more information. I can hear my husband strained and not easily able to talk, so I walk away from my cart in the grocery store to make the 1.5-hour drive to the hospital. I get home, grab a couple things for him, and I'm on my way when I get a call that he's been transferred to another hospital. I get the address of that hospital and immediately start out on my way. I get to the hospital and locate my husband. He's in the cardiac unit. My husband has a history of diabetes and heart problems. A nurse comes out and speaks to me and tells me that they started doing procedures on my husband approximately 15 minutes before I arrived. A doctor will be out to speak to me when they are finished. Approximately 2 hours after I arrived, a doctor comes out to speak to me. The doctor tells me that my husband had blood clots and various parts of his heart, had a Widowmaker heart attack and now has another stent, and they repaired his first stent. The doctor was good and gave me lots of information and explained that somehow my husband will make a full recovery because of the actions of the doctors at the first hospital he was at. The hospital and doctor were great and let me see him in the recovery unit, although visiting hours were over and it was late at night. I'm emotionally exhausted at this point, but I'm elated with joy because I know my husband is going to make a full recovery. When I spoke with my husband, he specifically asked if I could call his brother and let him know what was going on. The nurse in the recovery unit specifically asked me to take all of his things, including his cell phones. I didn't have his brother's up-to-date contact information as he had just changed his phone number. I got home, and although it was late at night, I immediately started calling his brother, and I went ahead and called his other 2 siblings as well, as they are very close. I reminded all 3 of his siblings that the 4 of us were the only ones that knew what was going on, and please do not call or talk to anyone else. As I was going through my husband's cell phone to get contact information for one of my brother-in-laws, I came across something no wife wants to ever find. My husband had been actively communicating with another woman. Since my husband was not home and I was at this point in time unable to sleep, I started further going through his phone. I found that this other woman had existed almost 2 years before he met me. It was clear from the text messages and Facebook Messenger that my husband had an ongoing 7-year relationship with this woman, including having met up with her on a work trip, spending 2 days with her that included using our personal credit card to buy her dinner in March of this year, not even 4 months after our wedding. 5/15, I went to the hospital, and in spite of my husband's condition, which he was not yet out of recovery, I sprung it on him that I knew everything. There were only half-hour visit windows at the hospital, so I didn't have to stay there long to listen to his excuses. My husband, by this point in time, could have a cell phone, so I gave him his work phone, which was all I had brought with me. He has a work and a personal. He immediately wanted to talk to me and, of course, started trying to blame everything on me. My husband, who had been having an affair for literally our entire, just short of 5-year relationship, with a woman he had been actively seeing for 7 years, tried to make it seem like it was my fault he cheated on me. I, of course, lost it and started screaming at him that he did not need to drag me into his sick bullshit. I also started telling him that I had gone through the phone and I saw all the nasty, horrible things that he said about me to this other woman. Yes, she was actively having a relationship with him, knowing that he was cheating. I think my favorite part was how this slut called me abusive and undeserving of my husband and said he should leave me. At the point in time she had said this, I was the only one who had done multiple things out of love for my husband, like learned how to help him manage his eating for his diabetes, helped him set up accounts and investments, helped his daughter with a legal situation that kept her out of jail, spent hours on his borrower defense fund application to fix his student loans. When I fixed the student loans, it helped raise his credit score that was under 500. I taught him how to get small credit cards and pay them off immediately to raise his credit score. I took care of all of his laundry and helped him get his things together. Every time he had to go out of town, which is almost weekly for work, I saw my husband had sent the slut pictures of him on our vacations. He even had the nerve to send the slut a picture of himself in the outfit he wore on our wedding day, and yes, the picture was taken on our wedding day. My husband had a mountain of dirty text messages and text messaging professing his love for this other woman. I'd like to throw in at this point in time that I learned very quickly that this other woman was someone he had met on a work trip in 2018. She lived in another country thousands of miles away, so he literally saw her maybe once a year. Of course, from her perspective, she was an expert on our relationship, knew exactly what a wonderful man he was, and told him everything that he would deserve because she would know that from maybe spending 48 to 72 hours a year with him. I was, of course, even more furious because my husband, who actively had to participate in a real relationship with me, was pouring his heart out to basically a fantasy text message slut. 5/16, my husband immediately starts calling me now he wants to grovel and apologize, saying he had time to think about what he said in the horrible mistake he made. He wanted to know if I wanted a divorce or what I wanted to do. I told him I don't know, I need time to think. I immediately started calling divorce attorneys to get an understanding of my legal options. I owned a home 11 years before I meet my husband. My husband didn't want a prenup, and other than the home, our assets were very even. I knew when I was married without a prenup that in the event of a divorce that they would look at equity in the home gained starting at the marriage date, so there was a possibility without a prenup I could have to buy him out of some of the home should there be a divorce. I was in luck when I talked to the attorney because he said that since the value of the home had dropped since 11/30/2024, I shouldn't owe my husband a dime if I file for divorce now. Our retirement accounts are just about even, we both make six-figure salaries, we have no children together, and we could split the bank accounts 50-50. We both carry no debt other than the mortgage and a car I just bought in my name only and would be happy to keep. We do have a timeshare, but we could sell it back and easily walk away. If there should be any left from the money in the bank account would be more than enough to cover it. My husband, of course, wants to work on our marriage. Since I had time, I had actively gone through his phone and I had seen that he had not been a serial cheater. It was odd and is odd because there's only one woman. Yes, I did go ahead and access his phone bills and start looking at them to see if they had matched activity in the phone. The woman in question lives in another country thousands of miles away from us, which explains why my husband was able to hide this. It was literally a once-a-year thing in terms of them seeing each other, but lots of text messages and talking, which is still cheating, especially when the text messages involve actively bashing your girlfriend, now wife. 5/17, I go to the hospital and I start talking to my husband. I had talked to the lawyer's office about a post-nuptial agreement. I told my husband that I would only agree to work on our marriage and see if he could manage to actually walk away from this woman that he should have walked away from years ago if he signed the post-nuptial agreement. Of course, the post-nuptial agreement is him signing away all right to my house should there be a divorce. I realize that this could possibly backfire where my husband starts refusing to help with financial things around the house, but if that is the case, then that will be caused for divorce. I will make sure that in the event that something happens to me and my husband is still alive, and we are married, he does get the house. I am contemplating putting a time limit on the post-nuptial agreement like it dissolves after 10 years of marriage from the date of signature. My husband has a daughter that he did previously agree to sign away any right she may have to any portion of the house that could be declared marital property should he pass away, and I am still alive. The post-nuptial agreement will allow me to add in language that the daughter never has any claim to the house. In the event of both of our deaths, the house will currently pass to my brother, who will that use it as a rental property. Hopefully, I won't be posting ever again about something I need to get off of my chest involving my marriage. I am hoping that somehow we can figure out a way to make it to the other side of this huge betrayal. Oddly, I do still love my husband, but I still keep finding myself trying to find ways to justify why I'm bothering with this. I literally had just spent 5 years with someone lying to me for the entire time. I guess the post-nuptial agreement is my way of having a safety net should I decide in 6 months I just can't do this.